Good morning. And such is the nature of life that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear, and you are that opportunity, and so am I. And so it is. Welcome, everyone, to CSL Midtown, coming to you live this morning from Atlanta, Georgia. We are so glad that you are here and that you've joined us today. So we welcome all people, no matter who you are or where you are in your life. We welcome all those who might be listening online, and of course those who are here live right now in the room, or if you're listening to a recording that's going to come later. Our center reflects a diverse tapestry of life, so we do welcome you. Whoever you are, whatever path brought you to be here today, know that you're in the right place and that this is the right time for you. We know that you are an individual expression of the divine life, which we all are part of. So you're welcome to participate here today. I hope you will become a part of this community. And if you're watching this broadcast online, we invite you to like and share this with your friends. For a better understanding of who we are and what we teach, let's listen now to our Declaration of Principles as written by our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes.
A few of the Declaration of Principles we live by.
I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life, and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding.
I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
So grateful. Hey. All right. The full declaration is on our website, cslmidtown.org. This morning, we welcome our practitioner, Maya Fuller, to share some words of wisdom and to lead us in a spiritual mind treatment. But I want to say some nice things about you first, so hold on, hold your horses. Maya is a dedicated member of CSL Midtown. She partners with me in the lead practitioner role, and we also work together to obtain and schedule the wonderful weekly speakers for our Sunday celebrations. And she coordinates the Sunday adult study group as well as serving on our board of trustees. I know she does a lot of other stuff behind the scenes, so we welcome today Maya Fuller.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Judy, for that beautiful, wonderful introduction. Good morning, friends. Good morning, good morning. So today, although it's September 7th, this is the first Sunday in September. So this morning marks the beginning of the Centers for Spiritual Living theme for the month, which is Transcendent Purpose. Now, some of you might be thinking that this just sounds like another spiritual buzzword, but hang with us here because this is something that you can use to completely shift how you show up in the world. So let's break it down. Transcendent purpose is the fusion between two incredible forces. First, transcendence, going beyond what you thought was possible for yourself. And second, purpose, living with that deep awareness, that determination, that crystal clear intention about why you're here. Think about it this way. You know those moments when you're driving and you suddenly realize you've been on autopilot for the last 10 miles? You don't even remember passing those traffic lights. That's ordinary living, functional, but not fully awake. Transcendent purpose is the exact opposite. It's like suddenly seeing in high definition when you've been watching through a fuzzy old TV screen. Ernest Holmes put it beautifully when he said, "We are surrounded by a creative medium that is always saying yes to our innermost thoughts and desires. But here's the thing. If our thoughts and desires are small, limited, caught up in what we think is realistic, well, that creative medium is still saying yes, but just to small things. What if, instead, you dare to think bigger? What if you reached beyond those self-imposed limits and asked yourself, what is Spirit calling for through me that I haven't even imagined yet? I'm not talking about pie in the sky dreaming. This is about recognizing that you are an individualized expression of infinite creative intelligence. Let that sink in for a moment. You're not separate from the power that creates the galaxies and grows oak trees out of tiny acorns. You are that power expressed as you. So when we talk about transcendent purpose, we're talking about aligning our human intentions with that infinite creative force. It's what happens when your personal vision gets plugged in to universal power. Suddenly, what seemed impossible starts looking inevitable. The description of September's theme of transcendent purpose talks about having a turbocharged passion for life. I love that. And it's interesting that our speaker today is Reverend Dr. Bob Deen, and that reminds me of him, a turbocharged passion for life. It's about being so connected that your deeper why, being so connected to your deeper why, that energy just flows through you naturally. You know that feeling when you're doing something you love and that hours pass like minutes? That's the taste of it. Ernest Holmes said there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. But transcendent purpose takes that even further. It says there's a power for good in the universe and it wants to use you as an expression in the world. So as we move through September together, I want you to consider this. What would your life look like if you truly believed that infinite creative intelligence is expressing itself as you, not just through you? What would you dare to envision? What would you finally say yes to? And as I land the plane, I should say, because ships don't land. Now this is where this gets really interesting when it comes to our monthly and weekly themes. When you start living from transcendent purpose, when you begin to align with that infinite creative force, something profound happens. You might find yourself asking a question that seems almost contradictory. Okay, if I'm this magnificent expression of universal intelligence, if I have all this potential for extraordinary accomplishment, what's the point anyway? That's the talk title for today. What's the point anyway? It's a question that arises not from cynicism, but from depth. Not from giving up, but from going deeper. Because once you taste what it means to live beyond your perceived limits, once you feel that turbocharged passion flowing through you, you start to wonder about the foundation underneath it all. Is transcendent purpose about achieving great things? About leaving a legacy? About changing the world? Or is there something even more fundamental at work here? Well, this is exactly the question that our beloved Reverend Dr. Bob Deen is going to explore with us today. What's the point anyway? And I think you're going to be surprised by where this journey takes us, because Dr. Bob is going to help us discover that the point isn't found in what we accomplish or achieve. The point isn't even really found in our transcendent purpose, as powerful as that is. The point is found in something much simpler and much more radical: the recognition that you are worthy and valuable simply because you exist. So, as we prepare for today's message, let's anchor our consciousness in affirmative prayer. Let's speak our word for both transcendent purpose and the recognition of our inherent worth. So I invite you to move into a space of spiritual mind treatment, a place of prayer where we turn within, Maybe close your eyes, settle yourself in your seat. As we recognize that there is one presence, one power in the universe, one life, and that life is perfect, whole, and complete. This is the source of all transcendent purpose, the wellspring of infinite creative intelligence that knows no limits, only infinite possibility. This power creates galaxies and grows mighty oaks from tiny seeds. It is the yes that responds to every thought, vision, every aspiration. And this same life is the foundation of all worth and value, not earned, not achieved, but inherent in its very nature. I know that I am one with this life. I am it, individualized as me. Just as the ocean cannot be separated from its waves, I cannot be separated from this infinite creative power. Every person in this room, everyone joining us online, we are all unique expressions of this one transcendent life. What is true for the infinite is true for each of us. And so I speak my word for transcendent purpose and inherent worth. I declare that we go beyond every perceived limit, every small thought about what's possible, every boundary we've accepted as real. We're not bound by past experiences or current circumstances. We are expressions of infinite creative intelligence, and there is no limit to what can be expressed through us. I declare that we align our human intentions with universal power. What seemed impossible now becomes inevitable as we live with deep awareness, determination, and crystal clear intention. And I am so grateful for the recognition that our worth is not something we must earn, but something we simply are. I'm grateful that transcendent purpose emerges from wholeness expressing itself. And so I release this word into the law of mind that governs all creation, knowing that it is already accomplished. We are worthy. We are valuable. We are here to express transcendent purpose. So we let go and let the infinite express itself perfectly through us. And so it is. Amen.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Maya Fuller, for a fabulous job. And of course, she has already said who our fabulous speaker is today. Dr. Bob Deen, Reverend Dr. Bob Deen. And I'm just going to read what he wrote. It's in our website because it's really cool. I was like, usually I try to reword these, and I was like, no, I like this. He is a seasoned spiritual leader, educator, and writer dedicated to helping people discover the light within themselves. With decades of experience in ministry and teaching, he weaves together timeless spiritual wisdom with practical insight, offering guidance that is both accessible and inspiring, known for his clarity, compassion, and gift for words. Dr. Deen invites audiences to see the infinite yes alive in every moment of life. So we're no stranger to us, of course, Reverend Dr. Bob Deen.
Thank you.
I don't think you need this part.
No, I don't need that. I'm wired. I got everything. Wow. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see familiar faces, unfamiliar faces, and people, period. It's good to see you all here. So, the title is, what's the point anyway? And I just want to tell you that I'm about to fill in the rest of the outline with all of the same points that Maya already made. And the good news is we all learn better from repetition. So repetition is the story. It's what we got going on. So we're repetitioning. Anyway, you're going to hear it again and again and over again. Oh, look. Oh, there it is. You keep pointing to the top of my head. I didn't know what was going on. So we got a lot of help out here. I'm holding complete. Well, that's good to know. I've been working on that realizing that for a long time. It's always been true, but So when I first heard this title, I thought, well, I got to use it. Even though sometimes I like to not use the ones they recommend, but this one I thought was perfect because there are days where that's exactly how I feel. What's the point anyway? Anybody else have that? And then I have this song that runs in my head when I get there is, what's it all about, Alfie? That old song and story. And the other one that gets to me going at that time is also, is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, then let's keep dancing. Bring on the booze and have a ball. Why bother if that's all there is? And one of the songs, or one of the lines in that song with Daniel talked about the future. And the gold mine isn't just about now, but it's also the future. And we have a great future to look forward to. Really? Okay. I knew I was talking to the right group. Really? We really do. But sometimes it's hard to see. Most of what I'm going to be talking about is how we do have that future and how we create it and make it and allow it to happen. But I also want to acknowledge that there are times when it just doesn't look like that and doesn't feel like that. But it is true. Because spiritual truth has not stopped being spiritually true. Spiritual law did not stop because things got a little wonky in the U.S. And they've gotten a little wonky. That's putting it mildly, right? But we're not going to talk about all that today too much. What I want to do, though, is give you a chance to think a little more about what is this whole business of purpose? Now that we live in the world we live in, what is my purpose? Is there a purpose? Does it really matter at all? What I have thought was my purpose. Life has one purpose. One purpose and one purpose only. And we say it at the beginning of most every service here. We say it again and again and again. Such is the nature of life. All it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. Well, that's a simple phrase, and sometimes when we hear these things over and over, we stop listening to them. But what that really is saying that life just wants to show up as life. And it doesn't care a whole lot about much more than that. And it's the whole package. It's like winning the lottery. I won the lottery, by the way, last night. I was so excited. Yeah. And I still came here. This is where I want to be. Now, to be truthful, I bought 3 tickets for $6 and I won $8. So, at first I thought that's terrible. But then I thought, you know what? It's not. That's a 33.3% profit. I just need to keep doing that on everything else I invest in. Got to talk to my investment broker. She's probably listening right now. So, fix it. Yeah. Her partner made this, by the way. You all know Diane and April. So life is showing up, and its only purpose is to show up. And you are that opportunity for it to show up. So that's kind of profound when you really think about it. You're already doing it. When I first heard this, first time I ever walked into CSL, it wasn't CSL then, it was the Atlanta Church of Religious Science 100 years ago, before some of you were born. And it was definitely set me on my toes when I heard that. I spent most of the rest of the time in the service thinking about that until the speaker, Kennedy Schultz, mentioned Emerson, and that got my attention. And then I listened to the rest of the talk, and have been coming back ever since. So this idea that we've already been given the most powerful, amazing, wonderful gift that could be given, and that is life. is just kind of one to sit with. What more could you be given? Well, you should win the lottery. But you know what? That's still just life. It's still just life. And whether you do that or not, whether you have lots of money or a little bit, you still got life. But we've come to a point in our lives, so many of us, where we measure ourselves so much by what's outside of us and how we compare what we think we are to what we think we see other people being, our insides to their outsides, and then we just assume they don't have it, that they got something more than we did. But you got the whole package, so did they. It's what you do with it. It's how you live it. It's where you go with it. Yeah. So Ernest says, you are a spontaneous, self-choosing center of life in the drama of being. Self-choosing center of life. Spontaneous. And the great joy of becoming. The certainty of external expansion. You are that. I love what she said earlier, that it moves through us as us. It's not that that's what could happen around you, but if you're paying attention, or you're saying the right words, or you're doing the right mantra, or whatever, but it's who you are. You are the expansion of life. No matter where you started from, no matter where you've been, no matter what you were before today, this is still the truth about you. Embrace that. Hold on to that idea. Keep that idea. Joseph Campbell said, people are not so much looking for meaning in life as they are looking for the experience of being alive. That's why we do rituals. That's why we do, that's why we all get together. I don't, but other people do. Thousands of people in a big stadium to watch other people knock each heads down on the field. Never understood that. Like, no, I can, stay home and do that. I don't need to go and get my head knocked in somebody, or to watch it. But thousands of people and millions of people in our world do that every week. Why? It's that creation of life. It's that expansion of life, wanting to move through them and wanting to celebrate that with other people. We're so hungry for community. We all need that connection and that community. We got to have it. And if we can't get it one place, we get it another. So we get together. It's no accident. And Reverend Angela, who is here with us today, thank you. And I talk quite often about the irony that a recovering alcoholic started the Atlanta Church of Religious Science in a bar. I mean, you just doesn't get better than that. That's what life can do. Recovery can expand through us and as us. That's just a given. You don't really have to do anything to make that happen. You just have to get out of the way and let it happen. Let it be. So the second big point with all of this is that you get to choose what purpose you want to live out. What purpose you want to use that gift, that life for. You get to choose. I mean, God hasn't got a plan for me all sorted out before. I was taught that growing up. God has a plan. And you have to find it. But He's not going to tell you what it is exactly. You got to figure out the language first, and then you got to find that plan. And once you find that plan, everything will be all right, because then you can follow it. But until you find it, you won't know. Talk about a double blind, no-win setup. Now, I did find what I thought was my plan, because I knew that when I understood from the very early childhood, when I understood anything at all about spirit and spirituality and heard people talk about it, something in me went, you've got to learn more about this. You've got to get more excited about this. So in a way, they were right. I found that plan, but not the way they were talking about it. I didn't get any lightning bolt. Well, a few times. I did get a lightning bolt. I got struck by lightning when I was about 7 years old, but that's a different experience and story, and it had nothing to do with my revelation of spirituality being my path. But it was It was just that quiet, still nudging from within me. And so I chased that, and I went after it, as you know, for a whole life doing some sort of ministry, what kind or another. You get to choose. Somewhere along the way, I came up with and I'm just sharing this so give you some points, some ideas about how you can do it, not because I'm here to shout about Bob, although, something to shout about. I came up with after a lot of work on self-understanding and what is my purpose and what is my vision and all of that, came up with 3 phrases. I'm here to live love, teach truth, and know God. And that was my guide for many, 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 many years. Through my whole ministry in the Baptist church, through my whole ministry in this church, in this organization. We're not really a church, even though the IRS thinks we are. We really are a spiritual movement and a creative movement. And that guided me in so many ways. It gave me a way to decide and to measure, am I doing okay or am I not doing okay? And, there's a trap in there, though. Because the trap is if I start measuring that by how it looks on the outside, what other people are saying about how big my center is or how small it is, not how powerful it is and how many people's lives are changed by it. If I start looking at all that externals and start measuring myself, I can start to really think, well, maybe I'm not living up to my purpose. Maybe I'm not really living up to God's purpose, and God's going to punish me by holding back my good or by zapping me with another lightning bolt or some silliness like that. Again, I think I'm not alone in this because it's so much a part of our culture that if we aren't good in one way or another, then bad things will happen to us. But you know what? Bad things happen to good people and bad people. And good things happen to good people and bad people, except there aren't any bad people. It's just bad behavior. God don't make no junk, because all people are made out of that one power, that one spirit, that one thing. How can that be bad? May be hard for some of us right now, right? May not. Bad behavior, for sure. Bad values, for sure. Values that are anti-life. So, and the other thing about purpose is there's no wrong choice. You can't choose the wrong purpose for you. True. You can't choose the wrong purpose. You get to choose the purpose that your heart sings for, but you can't choose the wrong one. And if you think you have chosen the wrong one, you get to change your mind. That was the most powerful spiritual awareness that I got into when I got into a 12-step program many years ago. And they told me, if it's not working, you could change your mind. I didn't know that. I thought once I said something and started on a path, I had to stay there, no matter how ridiculous it got. People do that, that we get stuck in a rut and we stay with it because it's normal, it's familiar, people stay in that place, they do that thing. We don't have to do that. I started declaring a few years ago that I'm a citizen of the cosmos, which also means a citizen of the world. Well, you know what? I don't get dental work done here anymore. I go to Mexico, get my dental work done. I go to Mexico because I can go down there, I can get the same quality of work for enough to pay for my trip and save money on top of that. Why not? And I get to see friends that I don't get to see any other way. There are a lot of ways that we find to change our minds and go a different direction. I used to feel guilty because I didn't go back to my dentist. I got over it. Get over it. Are you stuck in some things that you've been doing the same way for a long time just because it's habit that is really not serving your heart? Because you see, and Maya said it earlier, a real key to finding our purpose is finding our why. Our why. What is the why? You know, our purpose changes, our directions change, our why rarely does. Why am I here? Not why am I doing this job, or what's the why of this job, but what's my why. And I love the work that Selleck has done with that. And what he's done is really given guidance for how we find our why. And that is by self-searching with a lot of questions, a lot of evaluation, and then asking those closest to us, what do you see as my why? Why am I here? And I worked with that for a long time. I mean, my why changed. I dropped those three things. Now my why is that I am here to be a healing presence wherever I go. I have been. I started being a healing presence with my mother after my father died. I was a healing presence before he died because and it wasn't about, I was going to be a healing presence. No, it's because that's who I was. So think about who you are, what you've been from the beginning, as long as you can remember. Are you a gatherer of community? Are you a person who brings joy and life to people? What is your purpose? What is that why that's been in there? Why am I alive? Why am I here? And you can find that. And you can get other people to join you in helping you do that. Because people love you. Did you know that? People around you love you. We love you. We love each other in this community. I mean, I feel it. If I walk in here, I get a great welcome and thank you. I'm not here as often as I'd like to be. However, we've been here and are here for each other for a long time now. We continue doing that, and then nothing's stopping that. So use each other to help you find your why. You know, my why to be a healing presence goes all the way back as far as I can remember, and I can see of it throughout the various stages of my life, whether it was at work, in my personal relationships, or whatever. I'm here to be a healing presence, to bring joy and laughter. That's why I make fun of stuff up here so much. Not you, me. Yeah, and love wherever I go. That's my why. And sometimes I do it with my work, and sometimes I don't. I had a great joy. Well, never mind. Just don't talk about me anymore. Let's talk about you. You choose based on your why. What is your purpose? Your purpose is the next layer of that. How you take that why and put it into the how of your life. I've taken the why and looked at how am I going to be that. And then your purpose falls much more easily into place if you're looking for it. Ah, yes. Time. And as was said earlier and said so beautifully, you are valued, you matter, you are loved, you are loved, just because you're here. Just because you're alive. Your purpose is valued because you exist. There's not one purpose more important than another one. My great aunt, bless her, worked hard all her life. She really did. She had a hard life. And when she retired and she moved into a little space where she could live on her Social Security, first thing she did was threw out all of her cookware, all of her kitchenware, except 2 plates, one for her and one for her husband. And when they got Meals on Wheels or whatever they got, her purpose was to make sure they were well fed and taken care of without her having to cook. And she was absolutely sure about that. And you ask her, so what's your purpose in life, Aunt Eloise? Strange name, but that was it. She had some cousins named Euretus and Euletus, but we won't go down that trail any further. But Aunt Lois, what in the world are you living for? Well, my purpose is to sit on my front porch, cross my legs, and swing my foot. And that was her purpose. And she lived about 15 years doing that and lived happily and joyfully. And people stopped by and talked to her and told heard their problems and asked for support and help, and she did all kinds of things out there, sitting on that porch, except cooking. Yeah, except cooking. She never did that. She never was real good at it either, but that we never told her that part. But she served so much for everybody. So we've got to find those purposes, purposes, whatever, that will serve you, and you know what? They change over life. But your why doesn't. Purpose might. My purpose now is to get out here and share the good news of this teaching through all that we're going through right now in the world, especially in this country, as loudly and as often and as whatever is possible, and in as many places as possible. But I know I'm done cooking. I'm done with being in one place and being responsible for the whole thing. You guys are ready for a senior minister. I ain't it. You know that. You're not asking me to either. I get it. So, we all have to get to that place where we know what our purpose is and what our boundaries and limits are around it. And here's the good news. You're surrounded by a universe that simply says yes to every one of those intentions and desires. There is no thing and nobody holding you back. But you don't understand where I came from. Yeah, I do. I came from the same place everybody else came from. Different circumstances, different stuff, pain, suffering, all those things that we go through. It doesn't matter your start. It doesn't matter where you're going. What matters is what you desire to bring into the world as good. Now, there is a measure on this business of purpose. And that measure is not about how productive it is on the outside world or anything else. But the question is always, does it bring greater livingness, greater expression of that desire of life to live and to be expressed, or does it restrict it? Some of my life, I have restricted it. I've restricted it by being numb. I've restricted it by avoiding what's going on. I've restricted it in lots of ways. But I also know life still keeps pushing to get out. And if you try to hold it in too much, it's going to hurt. But it's going to get out. So the productivity you want to look for is not out there in terms of measurement. It's not external, social, or social status. Your purpose is valuable whatever it is. Gone fishing might be your purpose. And that's just fine. Because every heartbeat, every moment that you share with the world on the planet, walking around or sitting down, you are bringing greater life, greater goodness, and greater joy. So what's your purpose right now? Right now. Have you thought about it? Think about it. It matters. What is your purpose right now? Is it simply to be present? That's a good purpose. In this moment. And to really be present in the moment. Not just sort of paying attention, but really paying attention. Being present in the moment means listening to the sounds around you and the things that happen around you. I did something today I haven't done in a long time. I drove here from my house without my GPS. Yeah. That's a big deal. I know how to get here from my house. I've driven here from my house how many? Dozens, hundreds of times? I know how to do that. But what I discovered is by not having my GPS on, I noticed where I am. I noticed people on the side of the road. I noticed the traffic in a different way. I was more present in the moment. We have wonderful technology, but it so takes us out of ourselves. And there's so many little ways we can choose not to use it and get ourselves back into the present moment, back into who we are, and back into our purpose of being alive and of being the vehicle through which life shows up. So there's a power operating through. This is from Holmes and Barker. We are all the grandkids of Barker. There's a power operating through, a presence inspiring, and an intelligence guiding, and a law of good sustaining you. Upon this presence, this power, and this law, you can place your complete reliance. Wow. There are a lot of things you can rely, aren't a lot of things you can rely on these days. But that you can. Because you live in this divine presence, because it is in you, you may know that the creative law of good, which is infinite and which is all power, can do for you and bring to you anything necessary for your complete happiness. Did you hear that? It can bring to you anything necessary for your complete happiness. The whole desire for you is one of freedom and joy. And he says in the rest of this, and this is today's reading in 365 of Richer Living, I know that freedom and joy are mine today. Say that with me. I know that freedom and joy are mine today. Yes. This freedom and joy expresses themselves in my experience. This freedom and joy expresses themselves in my experience. There is nothing in me that can obstruct this passage. Yeah. I permit freedom and joy to flow through me in all their wonder and might. Because you are wonderful, and so am I, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Awesome talk. So, yay! So, I'm going to do our new minister sacred covenant easy prayer, and then invite Lynn up to talk about our auction. So, there is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. And knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to express Spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of Spirit as principle. I further know that my new minister is a fulfillment of that which has been promised by God. For it is written, principle is not bound by precedent. It operates according to law and is always available to those who are willing to align themselves with it. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister before me as inspiring spiritual oneness through wisdom, love, and authenticity. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspired to live as love in the expression of principle. I am awakening the wisdom within me by clearly communicating the principles of universal truth. I am a conduit of divine love, wisdom, and healing energy, recognizing the inherent wholeness within all beings. I am offering teachings, classes, and mystical studies grounded in spiritual principles to cultivate inner wisdom, personal transformation, and empowered living. I am extending the love, compassion, and transformative power of Spirit into the wider community, fostering connections that heal, uplift, and support individuals in their unique journeys. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that will express Spirit and serve the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful, God is gracious, and so it is. And for those of you in the room, there's a copy on the back that you can pick up so you can read this. And if you're online, you can get this on the website, cslmidtown.org. All right, have Lynn come up and talk about the auction we got coming. It's exciting. Woo!
I always forget about this part. Okay, so what do all these things have in common? Dinner for two at a local restaurant, a photograph or a painting from a local artist, a 3-pack of gourmet coffee, a cooking class, a trip to a spa, which might include a mani, a pedi, a massage, greens fees, and a cart at a local golf course. Parents' night out, dinner, movie, babysitting fees, all the above, none of the above. Movie passes for two, maybe for a month, maybe for one movie, maybe for a year. Catered picnic for two. A museum membership for 1 year. A weekend at an Airbnb, could be the mountains, could be the beach, could be you come from Sandy Springs and go to Midtown and think you've really hit it. Gift cards for anything. I mean, if you go to the grocery store, there's a gift card for the grocery store, there's a gift card for bowling, there's a gift card for restaurants, there's a gift card for movies. Tickets to local theater. Atlanta particularly has a lot of local theater. An outdoor adventure, maybe it's skydiving, maybe it's a private plane tour, maybe it's a private boat tour of Lake Lanier. Or if you're a professional service, you could donate hourly fees for whatever your particular profession is. We also, if you have items, all these things are things that can be donated besides items that you have hanging around the house, which are the obvious choice. You can look around and what's old news for you could be great news for somebody else. But you can, in addition to things, you can donate a service, you can donate an experience. And some of those things, will be the most lasting memories. Also, if you're not aware of this, if you have an item that you think is particularly precious and you're not a risk taker, you really don't want it to go for the minimum bid, keep in mind that you set the minimum bid. So Better World Fundraising, who is the company that is running this for us, is not really taking any money. We get the whole donation, and you can set the minimum bid. They also have what they call impact items, and that is if you have something that is, you want it to go for this price and this price only, no bidding, you can do that. All you have to do is, if you have something like that, contact me, and I'll help you set it up. But one of the things to keep in mind is that it may be that I've named off some things that you think are a good idea, and you go, I don't have access to that. But maybe you know somebody who does. Maybe your BFF owns a restaurant. Maybe it's a CEO of a company that can donate a tractor. I don't know, whatever the company has. In the meantime, if you want to, we encourage everybody to donate because it's important to us. We're ready for a senior minister. We're ready to go. We're envisioning it. We need some financial help to get there. You can find a link on the website to the auction. You all should have received an email with a link directly to the donation form, which makes it easy. But if all of that scares you, just like it scared me when I was setting up this auction, I was like, I am the last person who should be doing this. I spoke French to my computer. I was like, don't tell me I didn't do that because I did. But I have it down pat now, so I will, you can just email me at Lynne, L-Y-N-N-E, at cslmidtown.org. Tell me what you want, and I'll get it done. Thanks.
Thank you, Lynn. All right. So in addition to the auction, you can donate online. If you're in the room, there's a basket in the back, or scan the QR code. Go to cslmidtown.org/donate. I'm going to skip our affirmation. We'll go to announcements. Although somebody didn't update the announcements. So next week we'll be online. Reverend Daryl Jones will be our speaker. Thank you, Maya, for being our practitioner today. And let's do our affirmation of life. Diego? There we go. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I'm grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody online. We're not going to do a chat on Zoom, so for those of you who are on Zoom, thank you for participating, and we will see you next week online.